One of the first things that jumped out at me was a quote from your mom.
Hmm.
If you share your story with folks, it takes away the shame from you.
Yes.
And then
Hmm.
you added, and when you share it, it takes away that power. Explain that to us, because I know that that's a lot for a lot of people. We close off, and we don't want to say that we're going through issues because of the fear of being judged, right? That it's going to be used against us, and no one talks about it. How can you explain that topic for me?
Well, I think that it's very, very, very prevalent in our community. We don't generally, we're not conditioned to share our stories. Many of us do, but a lot of us
Right.
don't. And it's like you said,
Correct.
because the fear of someone using it against you, the fear of shame and whatever it may be. And I just remember my mother, I remember being a kid and just, my earliest memories in life was sitting in AA meetings with my mother because she couldn't afford childcare. So she would go to
Okay.
AA meetings and she'd pick us up from school. So we preschool, 4 and 5 years old, and we're going to sit in the AA meetings with her. I remember I would sit on the floor beside her chair, and have a coloring book and everything like that. And I was aware of what it was, in the most appropriate way possible. She explained to me what it was,
Okay.
and I just remember my mother always being very transparent about where she was at and where she was going. And what she'd always say was, if I own my story, can't nobody use that against me. You can't make me ashamed of something that I already put out there. And I think that we're so afraid of the shame of sharing our story, but I think the greater shame comes from not sharing it. You have some really divisive people who may try to use it against you. Family members like, girl, let's not talk about what you've been through. You know how they try to do in those moments,
Baby, yes.
right? But they
Yes.
don't have no power to do that. But beyond that, even if you don't have anyone around you with any nefarious or horrible intentions, it frees you, because your story is your story. And that's not to say that you enjoyed every part of it, or that if you could do it all over again, you would want to repeat some parts of your story. I'm not saying that at all. When I'm saying embrace your story, when I say embrace your story, what I'm saying is owning the fact that it is your story, and owning the fact that there's nothing you can do to change the past, but you can use your story as a foundation once you embrace it to build towards a better life, where if you are in the spirit of wanting to help people, then that can be potentially a platform for you to use to help people.